Mike Erickson has run for office before, 4 times, twice for the Oregon legislature and twice more for Congress, the last time in 2008. So why is Mike Erickson trying it again, this time for Oregon's new 6th congressional district? Well, we'll ask him. Mike Erickson, welcome to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Well, thanks, Ken. Pleasure to be here with you.
Well, Mike, you've got a successful supply chain and logistics management company. You've got several other lucrative enterprises. Why run for Congress now?
Well, the time can't be better. I think we need some new leaders back in Congress. We got politicians not doing their job. We got city and state officials that are, I think, destroying the state and the livability we have here. I'm a businessman. I'm a founder of a company. Like you mentioned, I'm in supply chain logistics. This is a major problem affecting this country, getting goods in and out there's some real problems that are affecting this country at every level. And I'm just fed up with what's going on. I ran 15 years ago in what was probably the worst Republican year ever to run. I ran against Kurt Schrader in the 5th district, and he ended up getting about 54% of the vote. And he's a real tough competitor, and he spent about $4 million in a very tough race. Last 15 years, I've been married, kids, and keep growing the business. And I just can't sit around any longer and just watch what's happening and continue. I mean, we got rampant crime problems in every one of our cities, in Salem, Portland, the suburbs. You think about what's going on. Oregon's #1 in the lowest, well, actually number 50 in graduation rates. We're fast becoming #1 in crime rates and drug rates. And there's so many problems that we need to reverse. And I really want to bring some common sense, a business perspective back to DC and here in the state and fight hard for the people of this district. I'm fed up with what's going on, and I just can't sit around and not try this. I think I'll be a great congressman. I'll work my tail off like I do in my business, in my life, and in the community. I'm looking forward to this challenge again.
Well, in your campaign materials, you say politicians are determined to trample your rights. What do you mean by that, and what would you do about it if you get elected?
Oh, think about it here. Just a couple months ago, here my daughter's out playing soccer, and they're outside and they're wearing masks. I mean, enough's enough. I mean, they're out there outdoors, and our state government is saying you need to wear masks for all sports, and I just think that's ridiculous. They shut down our businesses. They limit the hours we can operate. The employees, are as they should be concerned about what's going on with COVID and things, but they're shutting down all these restaurants. People are going out of business. Government's just reached too far into our lives. They're getting too much control, and enough's enough. And I'm going to fight as hard as I can to keep government out of our lives and less control.
This is a competitive race for both parties, including prominent Republicans Jim Bunn, Ron Noble, some well-known Democrats, including Loretta Smith, Andrea Salinas, and up-and-comer Carrick Flynn, who we just spoke with. Can a Republican win this seat?
Well, the new district is a pretty unique district. It's not Portland. It's not Multnomah County. It starts in a little Tiger 12 and works its way through Newburgh, Sherwood, out to Yamhill County, Polk County, Marion County, Wilsonville, Woodburn. So it's really a lot of farmers and more rural communities. It isn't downtown Portland. When I ran last time, some of Multnomah County was in the district. And so it's definitely a different district. The registration edge is still 5%. I think it's 4.5 or 5 they just came out with. But there's about 45% independents or non-affiliated voters out there. A lot of those are fed up like I am with what's going on. And I was out there knocking on doors and meeting farmers, and I hear it over and over. Hey, I'm tired like you are. I'm glad you're running, Mike. We need a businessman back there. We need some business common sense. It's time to fix these problems. And, unfortunately, these career politicians have ruined our state. And people are leaving. And, businesses don't want to come here. It's becoming worse and worse. And I'm fed up with it. And I'm going to work my tail off to turn this thing around and make Oregon a place that people want to come to once again, like it used to be. We used to be the crown jewel of the West Coast. People love Portland. You can't go downtown. I can't bring my kids down to Pal Books and go shopping. You go down there, you're stepping over people on the street. You see drug needles. You see people sleeping or vomiting. I can't take my kids downtown. And they used to love going to Pal Books. I mean, that's going to change. And it starts with our city officials, our state, and our federal officials. We got to do something. I got some ideas that'll solve some of those problems. And I hope people elect me so I can get back there and do a good job for everybody.
If you were to go to Congress in the 6th district, what would be your first priority once you got there?
I think, well, there's too many of them. They're almost like we've got rampant immigration issues on the southern border. We need to build that wall and, really secure borders for both what's going on with drugs and illegal citizens cross the border. It's just rampant down there. We got rampant crime problems here. And I think one first thing is try to get our state under control too. I mean, you think about what the root cause of all this homelessness and the crime going on in Salem and Portland and other cities. I believe it comes down to a ballot measure 110 that passed. That measure backfired on the people of the state of Oregon here. They voted it in. We're the only state in the country that allows, you could go do heroin, meth, crack, cocaine on the streets in Portland, and you will not get arrested. You won't even get a ticket. We're a welcome mat to drug users, drug dealers, and rampant crime in this state. And what we need to do is have some federal officials like myself, if I get elected, or state officials. Hopefully get a new governor in here that's real pro-business and pro, like I'm talking here. And we need to reverse ballot measure 110. If you think about it, we're a welcome mat to drug users and drug dealers and criminals coming to the state. Our DAs and everybody else does not prosecute them. They give them a slap on the wrist. That's got to change. We got to enforce the laws. We're not. We need to relook at who our district attorneys are and why they're not enforcing laws when people break into the buildings in Salem and downtown Portland. It just sends a wrong message. And that's probably one of my first priorities is get this crime epidemic under control. And my dad was a police officer for 30 years. I watched him risk his life every day, working the streets, risking his life, going out there protecting us and our communities. I really appreciate what the policemen do in this community. I'm a real pro law enforcement family. My dad was in the Air Force before he was a police officer for 30 years. I'm going to go back and be more proactive or pro-supportive of law enforcement than any other candidate. We need to turn this thing around. We need to reverse measure 110 and make it so people know you can't come here without some criminal penalties if you start doing drugs on the street. That's the first thing I would really like to work hard on, is just start reversing some of these ballot measures that have affected the state. And you think about it, Ken, what's happened here is people come here, they do their drugs, they're on the streets, they have nowhere to go, no one's going to hire them, they're addicted drug addicts, and no one's going to hire them. So they just sleep on the street, they get food handouts, they get unemployment possibly, or other handouts from our government. And you see them on the streets of Portland and Salem. They're just lined up everywhere. And if you ever walk around the streets of Salem or Portland and just talk to some of these people, half of them are on drugs or drunk. And we got to change that. We're a welcome mat, and that welcome mat needs to be pulled out from underneath them. We need to change the laws immediately. That's the first thing. I think that's the root cause of what's going on with Portland, the crime, and the rampant homelessness.
Mike Erickson, thank you for joining us on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thanks, Ken.
Well, up next in this week's Give Me a Minute, we'll hear from educator and community leader Joe McFerrin. He has questions about when the I-5 expansion will happen and what that means for a school in North Portland. That's next on Give Me a Minute.